Hi, I'm Madhavan. I am one of the co-founders at Reclaim Protocol. And today I'm going to be talking to you about some of the lessons that we have been learning by selling Reclaim Protocol and zkTLS in general to enterprises. And this particular talk is aimed largely at builders and aspiring founders who are exploring, hey, what is the opportunity space that opens up because of the existence of this technology? And that's what we're going to be talking about. So, first of all, I want to talk to you about a big problem that exists. So, we have a large fraud epidemic right now in the world. It is being accelerated by AI, but nevertheless, we've already been having a lot of fraud on the internet. To put that into perspective, I want to start off with this. So here are two screenshots. So this is a screenshot from a UPI app in India, which is a financial transaction app, in which somebody's sending this screenshot to prove that they have sent money. One of these is fake, one of them is not. And now if you were to pick which one is fake and which one is not, are you able to tell just by looking at this particular screenshot? Probably not. And it's very simple to take a screenshot and like quickly morph it using Photoshop. And this has been a tool that has been available for ages now. However, what has changed is in the last few months, it has become super easy to make these changes using an AI prompt. And the one on the left is the real screenshot, and the one on the right is a fake one. And I was able to create the one on the right just with a few prompts to ChatGPT. And this is in spite of ChatGPT having a bunch of guardrails to prevent something like this happening. But all of us know how easy it is to get past all of these guardrails. And don't even get me started on the existence of great frontier level open source models that exist in the market. There are a lot of these companies that actually depend on document verification. That is the data that you're uploading, the PDF, the screenshots that you're uploading to their portals. A lot of companies really depend on the authenticity of that data to make decisions in their business. I want to highlight that with a bunch of examples over here. The first one is the screenshot that I just showed you is there are a lot of these P2P transactions. If any one of you have used something like a Binance P2P or ZK P2P, P2P you would know that every once in a while there's a dispute that gets created on whether or not you've actually sent money in the bank account. And the way that it is verified today is you upload the screenshot of the actual transaction. And we know how easy it is to morph this particular screenshot. But it's not only in the Web3 world that this problem exists, it goes far beyond, right? So recruitment is another one, wherein you could probably put in whatever you want into your resume. There is no verifiability. The recruiters kind of how to trust that whatever information you're putting on the resume is actually true. This is probably not a problem that has come to the forefront because of AI. This is something that you could probably even do without AI. You could just open up a word processor, type whatever you want. This is not AI specific, but this is a large part of fraud that's happening. One of the feedback that we got from a recruiter who works with a YC company told us that, hey, these days we're getting a lot of resumes that are AI generated clearly, that are fine tuned exactly for the job opening that has been listed on their website. So, yeah, in some sense, yes, this problem has become bigger because of AI, but even in the absence of AI, fake resumes have always been a problem. The next one that I want to talk about is lending. Like whenever you go apply for a loan, you have to produce your financial transactions, your credit score, and all that kind of stuff. Again, the lender has to believe that the information that you are giving them is actually accurate, and you're not trying to defraud them. Same applies for insurance. Do you really own the property that you claim that you own in the PDF that you upload? In retail, if you're getting a status match on a particular airlines, by saying that, hey, I have an Alaska Gold membership, I need a gold membership on Delta Airlines. So those kind of things obviously also rely on document uploads. Academia, if you're applying for a PhD program or a master's program, hey, where did you really do your undergrad? I think these are all like businesses that really rely on the existence of a way to check the authenticity of the information that is there on the PDFs that you're uploading. And the fun fact is, all of these screenshots that I just showed you are all AI generated. They look very real, and it is really, really hard for anybody to tell whether it's an AI generated one or not until I probably tell you, right? So all of these are AI generated images, very, very easy to do. It just go to ChatGPT and like with a few prompts, you could probably create all of these fake documents. And this is a really fast growing problem, right? So there are numerous reports out there which talk about how the fraud rates are really growing. Of course, it has been accelerated by AI, but even in the absence of AI, fraud is increasing in general in the world as people find more and more sophisticated ways to attack the system. But you would claim, hey, if these businesses are really relying on this information, to be authentic, of course they're not stupid. They should have like sophisticated means to be able to check whether the information being uploaded is correct or not, right? That's what anybody would expect, and that is true. All of these businesses do have sophisticated risk and fraud teams whose sole job is to make sure that the data that is being uploaded is authentic. So we spent months with some of these businesses. We sat down in their office and tried to look at their workflow to see, what are places where we can improve the success rates, where we can improve the accuracy of their fraud detection. And we realized that there are two things that they primarily do to identify fraud. The first one is they have a database. They have a database of all of the documents that they know that is fraudulent, so they have that database. And whenever a document comes their way, they are trying to match to see, hey, does this document look like any of the fraudulent documents that we've seen before? And this largely relies on the fact that there are a few agencies all around the world who are kind of offering fraud documents as a service. So this is a way to like really catch those bad actors. Like if you've used one of these services to generate a fraudulent document, you could potentially catch it by just matching it against the database. And there are some repeatable patterns that you could probably identify. That's method number one they use. Method number two that they use is pixel errors. That is, if you take a document and you try to Photoshop it yourself, you might get a few pixels wrong. Like the font might be like 1 or 2 pixels too big, or it might be 1 or 2 pixels to the right from where it was supposed to be. And this is really hard for a human to catch. But if you pass this through a program can really identify the pixel perfection of the document. And if it is not exactly the way that you expect, if the document has a few pixels off here and there, it's probably fraud. It was created by a non-sophisticated Photoshopper. But the problem that has now come to the fore is you don't need to be an expert Photoshopper anymore. Now you could just use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an expert Photoshopper, and you have Photoshop at your disposal. You have an expert Photoshopper at your disposal, so everybody can now create all of these fraudulent documents without having to go to some of these fraud document agencies. So now both of those methods now start failing. Now the documents that are being uploaded that are AI generated are neither by an agency and nor is it by an amateur Photoshopper. So it is becoming more and more difficult to really catch some of these frauds. And of course, they're not stupid. They are putting their best brains on trying to solve this problem. And yet you have fraud over and over again. Like Bumble recently had this problem where a user said, hey, this is not my profile. And yet it says photo verified down at the bottom. In fact, I've also tried to do this myself, wherein I created a fraudulent document and tried to apply for a status match on an airlines, and it went through. Like, sure, I didn't claim the status match, but at least the process went through end to end. The problem in all of this is the attacker always has the advantage. It's a continuous cat and mouse game in which the attacker comes up with something sophisticated, and then the businesses have to react to it and try to come up with a way to combat the new kinds of fraud that is always entering the market. And right now, as we stand, the fraudsters have a huge leg up because of AI. Now there is such a huge lead. Now the businesses are forced to try and figure out how to dismantle this new kind of fraud that has entered the market. So that is where the state of the market stands today. Like there are a lot of these businesses that really depend on the authenticity of the data that is being uploaded by the users. The users have access to great tools to generate fraudulent data, and it's really, really hard to catch some of these AI generated fraud documents. So with that, now what is going to be the response of some of these businesses? That's really the question. And one would suspect that, hey, zkTLS is going to solve all of these problems. zkTLS is going to stop bots from even creating this fraud. It's going to stop bots from even interacting with some of these systems. Though it is true that zkTLS can solve some of these problems, but first I want to dismantle one of the more popular notions out there as to how zkTLS is going to solve this problem, right? So one thing that's like going around in circles in Twitter is, hey, zkTLS is a great way to do proof of humanity. It is true, but it really does not solve the problem, right? So a lot of people say that you could solve all of these problems if you have proof of humanity, but I think that's a little myopic in nature. Don't get me wrong, proof of humanity is very important. It's very important for something like airdrops or for voting and those kind of stuff, where you want to ascertain that one human is taking exactly one action or exactly n number of actions. In those kind of situations, proof of humanity is great. So I don't want to take anything away from the concept of proof of humanity, but the thing that I want to challenge in this slide is proof of humanity is not a solution. Now, if you're interacting with any service, it's really hard to say whether you're interacting as a human or as an agent, right? For all you know, you might be using something like Comet or OpenAI's Atlas browser, Dia, like all of these AI agent browsers that exist. Now, if you're using that tool, are you using it as a human? Are you using it as an agent? Should we block such requests? Should we not? I think you should not block such requests, because this is going to be normal. Like more and more people are going to be using AI agents as part of their regular workflow. So we need to figure out a way to embrace that future rather than trying to push people away from it. But what zkTLS really gives you is it gives authenticity of data. It does not give you the correctness of the information. Like what information is being provided on that document is really going to be hard to say. But what we can say using zkTLS is that this data really was issued by a person that you may trust. Then you may choose to trust that person or not, but you at least know that this is data that was issued by a certain entity. So authenticity problem actually consists of two parts, right? The first one is the information that exists on the document itself. So in this case, if it's a financial document, your credit history, your financial transaction history, all of that, that is the information that is the data that is being shared via this document. And the other thing that is super important on this document is the logo on the top right, which is who has issued this information. The problem that exists today is, if I just use ChatGPT or Photoshop to edit some of this information, the link between these two pieces of information is not tightly coupled, right? So if I change something over here, this logo does not change. So somebody who's looking at this document will still believe that this is information that came from Equinox or whatever is the name of the institute, right? So there is no coupling between the issuer of the data and the data itself, and that is the problem that zkTLS really solves. Right? That is, it makes the issuer and the data tightly coupled. Okay, that brings us to the next problem. The next problem is, okay, fine, we need to have tight coupling between the issuer of the data and the data itself. And this is probably the crux of the problem that all of these zkTLS products have to solve for, is there are literally thousands, if not millions, of potential issuers of such data. Now, this is a small collage of just the universities, right? So, and this is not even a complete list. There are like 17,000 universities that exist around the world. And each of them is an issuer. Each of them is issuing the credential of, hey, yes, this user is a student at my university. Now that's a claim that's being issued by the university, but there are 17,000 universities, and they issue that data in 17,000 different ways, and yet you need to have a tight coupling between who is the issuer of the data. Is it Stanford? Okay, now Stanford is saying that this person is a student enrolled in the computer science department. Okay, now those two have to be tightly coupled, and that is the solution that zkTLS products really offer. That is, who is the issuer, what is the data, and tightly coupling them so that even if you change one pixel, one character in that data, that tight coupling fails, and you know that the document that is being submitted is actually untrue and not trustworthy. And that is one of the biggest problems that we at Reclaim Protocol have been trying to solve for a while now. And the way that we decided to solve this problem is probably the Ethereum way of solving this problem, that is relying on the community. So we opened up a developer tool. You can go check this out at dev.reclaimprotocol.org, where you can go and add some of these what we call as providers. So that is, who is the issuer, what is the data, and create more and more such integrations. And the community can come add these integrations, and then other people, other businesses can actually use those integrations in their services. And at this point, we have 21,000 odd such providers already live. 21,000 providers is not very much, because there are just universities. There are 17,000 universities. There are tens of thousands of employers around the world. There are hundreds of government portals around the world, and probably millions of retail websites around the world. So it's really only getting started. We have a long way to go. But the real problem that I want to highlight over here is we need more and more issuers to be supported. Like, we need to be able to verify more and more data. And for that, we need this tight coupling of the issuer and the data for more and more sources. Of course, you can go check this out at dev.reclaimprotocol.org. Either you can go contribute new providers, or you could also just use existing providers to build new products. And the last thing that I want to probably leave you with is, this is a huge new opportunity for startup founders. And the reason that I say this is because after having spoken to all of these large enterprises, they have a huge problem of sunken cost. They are verifying information using some manual methods or some AI that they've built in-house and stuff like that. But all of that is getting cheated left, right, center, and there is some inertia in adopting new ways of verifying. So rather than saying, okay, we are getting disrupted, how do we disrupt the disruptor? The question that a lot of enterprises wrongly are asking is, okay, fine, now this is just one more of those cat and mouse games where the attacker has gotten a little bit more sophisticated and we need to get a little bit more sophisticated. But that's not really the case over here. The attackers have suddenly gotten way more effective because of AI. And I don't think it's going to be an incremental change that these enterprises are used to from the past, where they just keep improving. They just need to be a little bit better than the attacker. But I don't think it's that case anymore, which opens up a huge opportunity for some of these startups to now exist, which are ground up built to avoid AI generated fraud. I think that is a huge opportunity. Whether you use zkTLS or not is almost besides the point. But I think there's a huge opportunity for founders to build businesses, whether it be in lending, recruiting, academia, retail. There is a huge opportunity for builders to build companies that rely on verification as a core for their business, and build it in a way that is by design resistant to AI fraud. So this is really an open invitation. If you're building in any of these verticals, again, across recruiting or lending, insurance, retail, academia, we would really, really like to talk to you and really support you in this journey, because I think this is going to be the future. A lot of these large verification-based enterprises are going to struggle because of AI if they do not adapt quickly. And there is this small window of opportunity for builders to build some of these new age businesses that rely on verifications, their very existence. And with that, I would once again thank PSC, the TLS Notary team, Ethereum Foundation in general for organizing both DevConnect and also zkTLS Day to take this message forward to the community. I hope you felt this talk was useful and you got a few insights from what's really happening in the enterprise space. Thank you so much and have a great day.